It is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker today, Dwight Tarwater. We invited Justice Tarwater to share his thoughts with you today, not simply because of the high office he holds, or his distinguished, if serendipitous, legal career, or the impressive length of his resume. Rather, we invited Justice Tarwater because of what David Brooks calls his eulogy values: his kindness, his empathy, his bravery, his honesty, and his humility. When Governor Lee spoke at Justice Tarwater's investiture in October of 2023, he stated that during his personal interview with Justice Tarwater, he discerned that Justice Tarwater was the right person for the job based on Justice Tarwater's judgment and humility forged by his bittersweet life experiences. Now, these included, and I'm not going to go through his resume, you can Google him and find out all you want to know about that. But he was selected as torchbearer while an undergraduate at the University of Tennessee. And for those of you that are not familiar with that honor, it's not just based on academic performance, it's also based on a demonstrated outstanding commitment to other people. Also, Justice Tarwater has been named a Fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, a distinction reserved for trial lawyers who have demonstrated the highest standards of advocacy, ethical conduct, integrity, professionalism, and collegiality. And then finally, another example of why Justice Tarwater has invited us to be with us today is his commitment to creating a new beginning for his 3 children and himself following the death of his wife, Kathy, in December of 2012. Part of that new beginning included leaving his successful trial practice and accepting Governor Bill Haslam's invitation to become his general counsel. Now, even though Justice Tarwater has likened the role he played as being similar to the Maytag repairman, Governor Haslam has later said that he valued Justice Tarwater's great judgment and that Justice Tarwater would bring humility to the bench that will serve us all well. Justice Tarwater is sitting on the Tennessee's highest court today, not because he can moonwalk, he can, but rather because he has been seasoned by life. He has learned, as C.S. Lewis once observed, and I'm quoting now, "It doesn't really matter whether you grip the arms of the dentist chair or let your hands lie in your lap. The drill drills on." At his investiture, Justice Tarwater said that he intended to do the work, to decide the cases, and to serve with honor. He is living up to those commitments, and I am delighted to present him to you now.
Thank you, Dean Koch, for that introduction. It's actually quite touching, and it's an honor for me to be with all of you today. To the dean and the faculty, members of the bar, members of the court, trustees, graduates, friends, and family, today is a great day. I want to congratulate this class. I know the mission of this law school to allow working people to get their law degrees. I know that many of your journeys have been long, and there have been twists and turns along the way. Yet here you are, the class of 2025. You have achieved while living your own life in a different area, not at school, the highest level of academic success. Many of you will join our esteemed and honorable profession, but at least today, all of you will receive your law degree, your doctorate of jurisprudence. Today, think about this, today you graduate from law school. Good job, you guys. So let's reflect a moment on what it means to have a law degree. 27 American presidents have been lawyers. The first lawyer to hold office as president was John Adams. And before John Adams became President Adams, he was Lawyer Adams. And he took on a case, a very unpopular case at the time, at great personal and political risk for someone who aspired to lead our country. He represented 8 British soldiers who participated in the Boston Massacre. Now, why would he do such a thing? And his answer was very clear. He simply believed that the accused should have a fair trial. There is honor in that. There is honor in who you are. There is honor in what we do. I'm so glad you chose to be part of this profession. Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer. One of his documents that he prepared, I know you have these writing courses and your professors encourage you to write well and concisely and clearly. Abraham Lincoln, a lawyer, wrote the Emancipation Proclamation that freed slaves and led to the abolition of slavery and kept our country together at a critical time in its history. "32 of the framers of the United States Constitution," yeah, that document y'all had to study in your con law class. 32 of the framers of the Constitution, lawyers. 25 of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, lawyers. 9% of America's CEOs, lawyers. So your achievement is great, your future is bright, the possibilities are endless. But lest you think you are solely responsible for this day, I suggest that you are not. There are your parents who raised you and helped you along. There are your husbands and wives who have loved you through this process and encouraged you. Many of you have children who will admire and respect you for working your way through law school and achieving this degree. There are your teachers, many of whom are here, maybe all of them are here, who have been patiently at your side and here this very moment. Your employers, they've been flexible and gracious to help you. And all of you have friends who have stood by you during this process. So Dean Koch mentioned a sudden and tragic event that occurred in my life that many know about. I lost the bride of my youth way too early and suddenly and tragically. And I've been asked about that. and maybe what I learned from that situation. And I learned a couple of things. I learned a couple of hundred things, but I learned two things that I have often offered young people and that I'll offer you today, you graduates today. There are value in two statements. There is value in the words, "I love you." There is value in the words, "Thank you." Never miss an opportunity to say, "I love you." Never miss an opportunity to say, "Thank you." And don't miss those opportunities today to say what needs to be said to all those that helped you get to this day, to those who loved you, to those who encouraged you, to those who supported you, to those who picked you up, to those who straightened you out, to those who helped you along, and to those who were on their knees praying for you that this day might come. They share this day with you. So, class of 2025, let's talk about you a bit. Your journey, where it's beginning anew and where it might go. You're here because you've demonstrated some skills. You're good students. You work hard. You write well. You're curious, analytical. You're precise and accurate. These are qualities that are possessed by great lawyers. That is what will be expected of you, and you should expect that of yourselves. And these are the same skills and virtues that employers place, on which employers place great weight. The law degree is a very useful and versatile degree. But your work is not yet done, not quite yet done. Many of you will take the bar exam. Bar exam's hard. It's supposed to be. Last summer, only 72% of takers passed. But I want you to hear this from me and hear it well today. You can do this. You can do this. If you can graduate from this law school with everything else that's gone on in your lives, you can take one more test and pass it. My word, if you can pass Professor Spoden's civil procedure class, you can pass the bar exam. You see, you and I have a shared experience. Back in the day when we were in law school together, Clark Spoden and I were in the same study group. We spent a lot of time together. He talked back then as much as he does now. He was as sure of his viewpoints then as he is now. And the shared experience is just like you. He got me through law school too. After the bar exam, if those of you who pass will be called upon to take the oath of admission. And I have to tell you that since I've been on the court, administering the oath of admission is one of the most meaningful tasks that I've been assigned. To be able to look into your eyes and hear your solemn promise, to see your parents and spouses and loved ones stand with you with awe and pride for what you have done, to experience that sense of wonder where your career might take you. Say, maybe to the Supreme Court. It's a profoundly moving experience. Our oath is a commitment to the honor of our profession. And I can tell you right now, I want to administer the oath to every single one of you graduates, every one. So our oath only contains 2 sentences. A first sentence goes like this: I, Dwight Tarwater, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee. Your education will serve you well in fulfilling the first sentence of that oath. You see, we're a little different here in our country. This is not an oath to support the Queen or to support some entity or a flag. This is an oath to uphold our governing documents, the documents that express the consent of the people to be governed. It's a promise to protect and uphold the rule of law. So, as to sentence number 1, your oath is a promise to support the will of the people, the will of the citizens of the state of Tennessee and the United States of America. And your education will help you keep that promise. But there is a second sentence. Let me read this one to you. In the practice of my profession, I often wondered if that word profession should be life, in the practice of my life. But in the practice of my profession, I will conduct myself with honesty, fairness, integrity, and civility to the best of my skill and abilities, so help me God. Now it gets personal. It becomes about who you are, not what you do. So I got this rock in my office, and I'm not sure where I got this rock. I'm pretty sure someone who loved me gave me this rock. And inscribed on the rock are the words of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, who said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." And so I ask you, what lies within you? Honesty, fairness, integrity, civility, honor. Is your compass pointed in the right direction? Are you doing this for the right reasons? Do you see service opportunities in the community and the bar and in the profession? When you see a piece of land, do you see a barren landscape? Or do you see a garden? When you go north of town, north of here, and you see an empty city block with used needles and maybe a prostitute or two, is that what you see? Or do you see a playground? When you see a homeless person, do you see someone to be avoided or someone to be embraced? Or maybe, do you see a potential client, someone who needs you to do for them what they can't do for themselves? One of the greatest writers that I know, legal writers that I know, happens to be your dean. And I've often wondered, when I would look at his writings, and the time and the care which he took, I would encourage you to see your writings like Dean Koch sees his writings, not as words on paper, but as a work of art, something that is beautiful to look at, but conveys a powerful meaning. I have found, as I have gone through life, that one of the most important virtues that any of us can have is hope. Sometimes it can be easy to lose hope. Don't lose hope. Hope sustains us no matter how bad the days are. I'll give you an example of that. In 1962, when my wife's father was sworn in as Attorney General in Alabama, he was very progressive on the issues of civil rights. He felt like that the phrase, all men are created equal, actually means something, and that it would be okay if everybody went to school together, drank out of the same water fountain, had the same right to vote. And he expressed some of his hope then for the New South. Well, a lawyer was elected governor in Alabama that day, and his name was George Wallace. And his hope was segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. About the same time, there was a speech in Washington, D.C. by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, I have a dream. I have a dream that one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. Hope, hope, good hope. Dream good dreams. Have a heart for others. I feel like I'm talking too much about my office today, but in addition to this rock, I also have a sign, and it was given to me by the former Attorney General Herbert Slattery, and the sign says, "It's not about you." And I had that sign in my office when I was in Nashville working for Governor Haslam, and I have it now in my Supreme Court chambers. I look at that sign every day, and I try to remind myself to serve and to be humble, and that this life and this profession is a gift. Don't let a lifetime pass thinking about what you might keep for yourself, because what you keep for yourself, you will never really have. But what you give to others, you have now, and you always will. All right, class of 2025, I want to encourage you to be strong. Lawyers need courage. Sometimes it takes a tub full of guts to stand shoulder to shoulder with some of your clients. Billy Graham once said, when a brave person takes a stand, the spines of others are stiffened. Now, you will have bad days in the practice of law. You should expect that. You will lose cases. You will disappoint clients, and they will disappoint you. I can assure you of that. Other lawyers may be difficult. I can assure you of that. And judges, maybe even Supreme Court justices, may rule against you. But we are professionals, so we do our best every time. Because the next case, the next client, is waiting on you, and they will need you. And they will need the best of you, and they deserve the best of you. The last part of the oath has to do with civility. It's a promise to treat each other well. It's pretty simple, really. It's not just being nice. It's not just agreeing all the time, because we get paid to disagree, right? But be true. Be polite. Be patient. Be respectful. And be humble. Sometimes that can be hard. You see, professionalism is a gradient. Some days we're the consummate professional. Other days, not so much. But take the long view. Do the best you can. Every moment of every day. It's often been said that it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but only an instant to lose it. So I'll turn last to humility. Now, I'm a recovering, not very humble person. When I was a trial lawyer, I had a bit of a swagger. When I got to Nashville, I learned pretty quickly that the best thing that I could do is really not be seen. To be heard by Governor Haslam on some of the most important decisions that he had to make, but to be in the shadow, in the shadows. And perhaps it was when this occurred in my life, and I had just lost Mary, and I was struggling to keep my family together, but I realized that humility is a virtue, and I realized that in my own heart that I needed to work on that I could do better. And I thought I was doing okay with this humility thing until an event happened which realized that being humble is never really a finished product. It was late one night and for those of you who know me, you know you're not going to get out of here without a story, so I'm going to tell this story. I apologize to maybe this side because I think some of the lawyers and judges may have heard this, but it's worth telling. It was September, it was the fall of 2018. We had work to do at the Capitol. We were working very late. It was a night in which there were credible threats of violence. There was a perimeter set up around the Capitol. There was a security detail there. There's a command post set up in the basement of the Capitol with cameras and the like, and a bunch of troopers. And as the night wore on, I had asked the troopers to take 2 young women to their cars to escort them to their vehicles and make sure that they got home safely. These were 2 members of the governor's staff, both young women, both expecting, and so they did. And I found myself the last member of the governor's staff at the Capitol that night. So trooper said, "Counselor, you want us to take you out?" And I said, "No, boys, I got this. You know, my car's down at the foot of the steps where it always is, and I'll jump in and be gone. But thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for all that you do for our state." And so I walked out the back door, and at the bottom of the steps next to my car, there was a mob. They were carrying burning objects. And I went back in to the Capitol. I said, "Guys, there's a mob." There's a mob outside the Capitol at the foot of the steps. And then they kind of yelled at each other for a little while. "Why didn't you see it? Why didn't you see it? Why didn't you? We got to get the counselor out of here." And the next thing I knew, I had 2 big burly troopers on either side of me marching me down the steps of the Capitol. It was like my Taylor Swift moment. Nick Saban, you know, I had security. You know, I was the man. I had these guys. They're escorting me out. We got to the foot of the steps, and the mob was a haunted walking tour of Nashville. They had all stopped to light candles at the tomb of Andrew Jackson. And one of those old troopers looked at me and said, "Think you can make it from here?" So humility returned. It cascaded down upon me. So I made it from there, and you have made it here, and you will take it from here. Today is a great day. You will receive your diploma in a moment. Your diploma is an honor. It's a prize. It is timeless. It is eternal. It is about what is within you. And with that prize and that recognition and that honor comes great responsibility. I'm excited to see the lives and the careers that you will have. As you are handed your diploma, let me offer you some words of a great philosopher, Mr. Rogers, who said, "It's not the honors and prizes of life which ultimately nourish our souls. It's the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our being is good stuff." And my wish for you today and tomorrow is that your lives and your careers will be filled with the good stuff. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.